This tan looks really good. These solar names looks like that's going to be the new leaders coming out of this market correction. Hmm. Funny. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I looked at it this morning. It's pretty light volume though. Yeah, Sedge was looking decent yesterday. Sedge was really looking decent yesterday, and it kind of perked up out of that area. We'll see. Deb, morning. Yes, sir. Thanks, Alex. Morning. Yeah, market sentiment's about as bad as it gets, and there are names that are just resisting the downtrend. You start to look at the indices and Sedge, EMPH, FSLR. They're just resisting going down. Doesn't matter how bad the SPY looks. What that means right there is the SPY's in a stage 1 base, not in a stage 4 decline. It's good to remember. Alan, good morning. Yuli, morning. So yeah, while the market base is out, you've got leaders doing exactly what they should be doing, which is continuing on higher. Doc, how are you? Yeah, ARLP, CEIX. These have moved together for. I mean, this is a pretty nice chart. It's just, it's just thin. Some days only trading a couple 100,000 shares, and it's $25 stock. It'd be different if it was like $100 stock trading these 300,000 shares, but it's not. So not big money's going through here. It's tough. Smaller account for sure would want to play something like this. But it's good to, a CEIX, another. CEIX been an absolute machine. Never really gave too many opportunities to get long, if you were prepared, a downtrend break right here. But it's not really clean. And then a little high type flag right there. Hasn't really given too many opportunities. I was looking at it right here. Tried to undercut, fail, and bounced right back. Sideways a couple days. Took off. Yeah, these names have been tough. Yeah, these bio names look good as well, but they don't come without the risk. Anybody see ALT? So major gap down. I recovered some yesterday, but not before it dropped. Holy shit, 60%. Yeah, bios have their inherent risk. Not to mention, a lot of these companies don't really make money.
Ariel,
Yes.
I'm kind of interested in Marriott.
What's the MAR? Yeah, I mean, I would just be a little bit more patient. They're not ready yet.
Okay.
They're not ready. Besides, what other names are, if you think about Marriott, what other names are in that sector? It's a lodging name. Okay, so
Wins, Four
yeah, if you
Seasons.
really want to know and if you want to gauge the health of that sector, you got to look up a few more names. So WH looks like shit. MCG looks like shit.
Hilton looks
INTG
pretty good.
looks like shit. Huh?
Hilton looks pretty good.
What's Hilton? HLT? Yeah, Hilton looks like Marriott. I mean, they look identical, meaning, these two are going to probably be the leader in that spit. Well, Hyatt looks pretty good too. Looks just the same. They just need a little longer. Or if they begin to work, I don't know. I don't know. The other problem I just noticed with them?
What?
They're slow.
Okay.
Like 2 ADR, 2.5. But yeah, I mean, they're great companies, right? When I go traveling, it feels like those are kind of the places that people stay at. Just be good to know what it does for down the road. You can just set an alert and keep an eye on it later, and maybe it'll get prettier for you.
What about SE?
Which one?
SE.
SE.
Yeah. S like first E like energy. Oh my gosh, that's the name of the
Oh,
company.
First Energy. Yeah, it's not perfect either.
Okay.
No, you want perfect merchandise,
Why isn't it?
huh?
Why?
It just needs to build out flatter price level for you, and it's kind of random. I mean, it's not totally random, but there are much better setups in this one. If it really is in the energy space, then it's a super lagger. You know,
Okay.
you and I need to figure out a way to get ourselves into LNG.
LNG.
Yeah, that's a leader. Obviously, we've missed the boat, but
We were watching Run for a while, weren't we?
yeah, solar. That's the right sector. That is now we're talking. And it's got a really nice little supply line, little mini high type flag. I mean, maybe another day or so, but it can work from here probably. Like I said, the market gets absolutely hammered the other day, and solar names just hang out, continue to hang out. I mean, it's the sector that seems most likely to lead the market. Coming out of its correction again. I don't know when the market's gonna be done correcting, but it almost doesn't matter. Seems like names like EMPH don't care. FSLR doesn't care. I'd like to see CSIQ set up. Yeah, GLNG is another one. Good oil. I think it's like an oil gas name. Like I said, it took off. It took off early. It took off even before Oxy. This move was well before Oxy's. Morning, Dopey. Yeah, bio was a big theme this year because what was it? XBI. XBI finally found bottom, and a lot of these bio names started to catch some attention. Like right as this was flattening out, a lot of these bio names kind of started to go, and as soon as this thing started to work its way up, and even in this second little leg, that's when names like RYTM and AXSM had first started taking off. Dawn started taking off somewhere down here, I think. So yeah, the ETF was really telling the truth, and if this ETF doesn't reject this 200, it can go on a big move. Bios can continue. But personally, that TAN ETF looks even more righteous. Who, me? Oh.
But it's not looking great. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of other names breaking down with the market, and solar names, not so much. ORA, it's a nice little chart too. Just kind of thin. This is what I was mentioning earlier. If it's $100 name and it trades 3, 4, 500,000 shares, even better than a $25 name like ARLP doing it. Can't get my eyes off this PDD. PDD starting to look really good too. See what this thing does. Maybe worth having this thing on watch this morning. Not perfect yet. Yeah, PDD looking good, man. If it can just go sideways again, even for a little longer, but nice little flagpole surfing the 10. PLL, this lithium name too. Piedmont. This might be a good one today as well. Throw this. Yeah, yeah. Oh, all good. Yeah, LAC's another one. I like these lithium names a lot. LAC. I like LAC probably a little bit more than Piedmont, but PLL, was a leader in the space, a long time ago. And, made a massive move. So it's been a leader for a while. Hasn't really done much other than consolidate. Yeah. God, that looks choppy. Yeah, yep. I agree with that 100%. PDD, TAL, NEO are pretty strong. Rest of China look awful. That's exactly why, I'm being cautious, because BABA looks like crap. FXI looks like crap. KWeb looks like crap. The ETFs, I mean, they look like they're going to roll over some more. Yeah, XPEV and Lee are both now inverses to NEO. Something's going on over here in NEO. Somebody knows something. Plus, this volume here is just crazy. This up volume on 912. Good gosh. Somebody wants in. Yeah, CEG. Please don't even mention this name. It hurts. I tried getting into this thing a little preemptive. Right in here somewhere. Just found like a little smaller time frame entry, and I never bought this gap up. This gap up occurred, I'm almost positive, on the same day EMPH took off. And I never bought the gap up because it was on no news. And yeah, CEG gave a nice little entry over here. I know Blaine's in CEG.
Yeah.
CEG looks great. Yeah, CEG's a leader, but I mean, it's it's just going vertical. I have no way of getting into that right now. It would need to flatten out, go sideways. That's what it would need to do. NFE's another one. NFE's starting to take some nice shape. New Fortress Energy. Yeah. New Fortress Energy. No. BNGO. No. It's looks super random. Not to say this thing can't make a move in the future, but there's no setup here. Not to limit risk. Not yet. I mean, first thing it's done that's a positive sign is put in some higher lows maybe if it doesn't break down. JKS, man. It's impossible to get situated in that damn thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's in here live every day, Monday through Friday. And then the recaps, these exact same videos on Twitter if you missed them. There's your course. Be open minded. Open your ears. And I got you. Tesla's starting to look really good too, man. Again, market, sentiment's about as bad as it get, and Tesla's hanging out above its moving averages, starting to flag up on the daily. I mean that, and compare this to like Google or Microsoft or Apple. They are not the same.
Ariel,
Yes.
I also, I mean, I've gone through all of it, under like 300 charts today. And I feel like Slog and CHP2
Yeah.
are
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Charge point is like finally acting different, back up above. There was something going on that Biden mentioned. There's money going to like these chargers for in the infrastructure bill to build out a bunch of new chargers. So I believe that's why they're acting well. I Charge point just needs to maybe flatten out some more. Just go sideways and give us a tight day of some kind. And Plug's another one. It's been really strong lately. Ever since it gapped up on big volume 728. Nice flagpole, and then now it's just a super nice consolidation. I have an alert right around 30 basically.
yeah, I have 3021.
Yep. I think mine's 3028, but yeah, tomato tomato. That area looks great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, plug looks great. Charge point does look good. They just, you know, we just would want them to be perfect, right?
Right.
I mean, with sometimes you got to look at your portfolio and say, do I have enough open? Is it really all working? And what's working really well, and then go from there.
Well, I really just wanted to see if after going
No,
through 300 charts, that's what I saw.
you saw the right thing. After you look at 300 charts, plug and charge point definitely looks solid. And LAC is another one.
LAC. Okay.
Yeah, plug, charge point, LAC. I don't believe any of them are perfect per se, but it is nice to see.
Well, I like cloud because it's cheaper
Yes,
for me.
Snow coming back at it, gapped on hard with the market and came right back. Snow probably setting up here soon too. Yeah, I mean there's a
I
lot of
would really love to own snow.
Yeah, well, I like to own things with Warren Buffett too. Do I have an example of a perfect chart? It's that's a tan's looking pretty damn perfect. Move up, flag out. EMPH was perfect a few days ago when I took it. First of all, I bought EMPH on the gap up 240, and then here's a perfect chart right there. All right, found support, and as soon as it took out the previous day's high right here, there was your entry. Again, it's been a leader, so you want to buy leaders as they're breaking out or breaking back into the range. So you could have bought these tops and bought the breakout, but you want to sometimes be in before the crowd. You could also bought in over this day's high, but we got in down here when it got back up above all its moving average on 60-minute in the daily. You just trail it on the 10.
Was really pretty and perfect yesterday. I just didn't take it.
Which one?
Down.
Yep. Yeah, stem was perfect yesterday. Nice move up, consolidation. Again, we got in before the crowd down here, but as it pushed back up and rejected that little supply level and then finally took off through it. Got nice and tight right underneath it, took off. We were talking about this one yesterday. CELH a few months ago. Yep. We got in down here. Move up, went sideways, got tight, bought the breakout. And then it got tight again, bought right there. And then as it took out these tops. Yep. CELH is setting up for a really nice stage two. If this thing could just again build out for a few more weeks and then take out these highs, that 110 area would be sweet. Yeah, CELH looks good, tan looks good. Yeah, rhythm on here was another one. Um and I did so August 2nd was actually the right day. Um I should have waited for higher lows. I actually bought it right outside of these two tight days. Right, 1209. But a few days later it was even better because it had now put in some higher lows, and then this day is even tighter. I mean, closed where it opened, and then it took off. Surfing the 10, big move ups, found support on the rising 10, got tight, took off. Yeah, August 2nd, perfect. Yeah, I'm not looking to do too much today. I I don't see much for charts. A bunch of these oil and gas names pulled back again pretty hard, and that includes DVN. I mean, I'm not in it, but it's just been hard to get situated in this thing. Something we were talking about yesterday was learning the undercut rally setup, or some alternative way of getting in before the crowd. Or it's tough because buying traditional breakouts right now is hard. The market's just not forgiving unless you're in the right space. I thought Rhythm had an offering yesterday. Sure as hell aren't acting like it. Oh wow, an upsized offering, I think, right? Wow, 4.8 million shares at $26 a share. God bless them. They could have never done that at $5.
Ariel, the only thing I have that I'm kind of worried about is Emcar.
Yep, you and me both.
I put a stop at 296.
Okay, that's not bad. Interesting. BSM. Couple more days. This name's not acting that great, but maybe it gets bought off the 50. Yeah, a lot of these oil gas names gap down. We'll see if they get bought up or not. Short report. Yeah, it doesn't, Stocks that get short reports can rip higher. It just has no setup. It's refused to break over this trend line. Some people might buy it as it's finding support on the rising 50. As the stock turns back up, but I don't really see a whole lot to do with it right now. EMPH is really where the interest is. FSLR, if it would just tighten up some. We'll see. Market looks pretty terrible right now. CCJ. CC. Yeah. Yeah, what's up? Meanwhile, CCJ keeps surfing this 10. This name's been great, honestly. Well, I'd love to see this thing just pull back a little bit more and get tight. Get a bigger position here once this thing sets up. Yeah, Suave was one of those you should have bought on the EP day. Yeah, Suave. Good call, man. Suave does look really nice. Over yesterday's high could be not so bad, honestly. Risk isn't too bad, about $6 on a $300 name. Yeah, nice high. Yeah, Suave was good down here on this EP setup. First hour candlestick to make a new high. About 243. Would have been risking about $7 ish, I think. Yep. Would have been worth it though. Absolutely. Yeah, Suave looking good. Nice eye. Oh God. Really? Your Marriott just hit my alert. I'm not doing anything with that thing, but just so you know. And you know what else has been really strong? Uber. Ever since its earnings. Ever since its earnings, it's been really strong. Would like to see this name set up as well. I mean, I take Ubers all the time. Yeah, PRVA. The setup was 30 down here. It looks good on the 60-minute. It really does. I mean, it might even be in a buyable spot, honestly. But it's a pass for me. I don't need any bio names right now, honestly. Seeing RYTM throw the offering out there, seeing ALT get absolutely crunked, And it could very well work here. That's not saying it can't. It's been a leader. How's Halo looking? Not so great. Not so great. EVH looks okay. Just made new highs, it looks like. In pre-market. Doesn't count. Yeah, PRVA is not bad. It's one of these bio leaders. But you guys got to remember about these bio names. If they've already made really big moves up, a lot of them don't make money, and a lot of them need money for new studies and all that other shit. What do you think they do? They raise 100 million like Rhythm, but it looks like someone wants to hold this thing up. We'll see. But yeah, awfully abnormal candle yesterday. Plus, this move up has been just. That can't even be right. Holy shit. 500+%. Unbelievable. Yeah, they are. They're cash burning machines, these biotech companies. So, the setup would have to be perfect, or you have to really be aware of their fundamentals if you're going to trade them. Oh, no. Again? Are you kidding me? HKD. I saw this thing yesterday. The move this thing made yesterday. Here we go. Round 2. Some of the moves these names make, man. It's crazy. Unbelievable. Guys, pass on something like this. If you like your money. Don't ever chase something like this. It's how you get killed. Unbelievable. Halted. Can't even believe that. Yeah, CELH here is looking really constructive. Hopefully it'll just push back higher and might be good to go tomorrow or the day after. Who knows? CRK, so much for looking strong. Plastered. 1, 2, 3 day momentum burst and then absolutely crushed. No, I am swinging. I'm just being incredibly selective, and all the names that I'm in are working. I'm just being incredibly selective. Also, when I see really beautiful like setups, like I did in Oxy down here, right? Or literally right here, I bought it that day it took off, or even EMPH, right? So what I've been doing right there, what I've been doing is sounds funny. I've actually been oversizing in some of these and getting really aggressive to peel profits day 2 and 3. That's how I've been treating it, just so you can make money in these kind of shitty periods and just being incredibly selective, with what you own. So CCJ, EMPH. I did buy this cheaper oiler yesterday. GTLB, STEM, which is working. Somebody wants in this name. STEM looks great, really great. TAN as well, Toast, UEC from lower. So yeah, I'm just being incredibly selective. No, I usually will start trimming right away. Day 3, between day 3 to 5, right? Pradeep teaches 3 to 5 day momentum bursts, and yeah, I usually don't even wait till day 5, day 3, and I start trimming, and then even in this market, depending on your average, depending on what the chart looked like when it did take off and where you bought it, yeah, I'd like to use the 20, but that's not always possible, right? Because it could be still well below your average, and I'm not going to let a green trade go red. So sometimes it's the 10. Wow, Frey, what a turd. This thing is chop central. But yeah, I look for 3 to 5 day momentum bursts, and I'm looking to sell into that. And in this market, like I sold 70% of my EMPH, slightly regretting it, but in this market, it's the right thing to do. Yeah, PDD looks nice. I'll wait for it to take out these tops at 72. So, maybe a few more days. You could get in preemptively today, but I won't. I'll just wait for my merchandise to be perfect. Honestly, that's my mentality, especially in this market. And I do believe this market's bottoming. I don't think we've got that much lower to go. I'm seeing too many setups. I'm seeing too many names back above moving averages, and I'm seeing a very strong sector. You have to ask yourself, like, okay, well, if the market is bottoming, what will take the market higher, right? There has to be a sector or two that hold up and lead the way, and it looks like solar could be those. Absolutely, solar. You would think energy too, but having Oxy and all these oil companies go straight up, I don't know that that bodes well for the market. I'd rather see, like solar names go up, healthcare names go up, you know, a name like Tesla and some EVs go up. Like what sector is going to really carry the market? And right now it looks like solar is the leader in that space. We'll see. This Veru's interesting. Right back into this range, like this big ass spike up never happened. Crazy. Plug's getting its wings together, huh? This plug chart looks pretty good. Yeah, but plug doesn't look too bad.
I mean, you know how happy that makes me.
Yeah, plug looks really good.
I took CHCT.
Oh wow. She said charge point looks good. Yeah. Holy shit. I wouldn't have bought it, until a little bit more sideways was put in, but good work, honestly. It,
Thanks. I just wanted it because I slide.
you just wanted it because it's charge point. That's fair. Yeah, plug looks good too. Plug looks good.
I also, in my other account, you're gonna get mad, but I added LNT at
JSPR.
173.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. A little
Just
bit.
a little bit.
Yeah. It's
Like, I only added a little bit.
okay. That's good. It's clearly a leader in that space and just made new 52-week highs yesterday. Yeah, I don't even know what the bear of 1962 looked like. I don't know, and I didn't go back and study that bear market. I actually should probably go back and study a few more bear markets. Mark Minervini would know, honestly, if anybody.
NVRV.
What does he say ends up happening? Is there a happy story after the 1962 bear market? Do we all get rich? Yeah, this is and I believe that too, that this could be the bear market of the 60s, or if there was one in the 70s during like a high inflationary period, which is what's going on right now. This plug looks nice, but something about it or these market conditions just aren't perfect. But You can't hate on this little flag here.
Corner.
It's one of the cleaner charts in the market, believe it or not. More downturn? Great. That's why we're going to focus on our charts. Could still make money out here.
Oh, my flag alert did just go up.
Yeah. Yeah, 7 green days in a row, but let's take these with a little grain of salt, right? Because some of these had a major gap down in pre-market. And so, yeah, put in a green day because there's still interest of buyers down here. And then another green day, you know? So they're green days, but, you know, they actually, you know, close lower than, you know, than something up here, close lower. So, yeah, they're green days, but it found support on the rising 20, which is much more important in my eyes. And then if you look at the hourly, you know, it found support on the rising 200. Um, uh, Here's the thing. Like, have you already sold some? Okay, sell them. Are you comfortable with the position you own? Okay. Well, I'm saying if even if it closed, let's say it came back and closed below 76, you still gonna be bright green on those? Okay, so then don't sell shit. Or if you do, you know, I mean, sell a super irrelevant amount. Yeah, I mean, you got yourself a great. What did you get in? 72 and a half? 73.8. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, if you've already sold a tiny little piece like on day 3, you know, just go ahead and hang out. Yeah, you never know. This could turn into an outlier for you, right? It really can. Yeah, you can trade cheaper names. Don't be afraid to trade a cheaper name. What you're gonna want to be focused on is what the average daily range is, right? You want to be focused on you're not in a slow name. For instance, like this AXNX moves 4% a day, but something like McKesson, for instance, moves 2% a day, right? So like while you're playing this thing on like this front side move, you know, you're literally moving at half the speed in terms of percentage as, you know, this just a simple chart like AXNX or, you know, GTLB. But you know, you don't have to think that you can't trade a larger price stock because everything you do is based on position sizing anyway. You know, 10% of your 5 to 10% of your portfolio is 5 to 10% of your portfolio, and it's easier to put your money to work in a more expensive name versus a cheaper name. Like you can have bigger risk in a cheaper name, and it's, you know, it's cheaper for a reason. So good to remember. You know, the name's most likely to double it. The names most likely to double in our market start in the $30 range. You know, not in the $2 or $3 or $4 range. So, yeah, don't be afraid to trade a higher price name. You're just gonna size down and, you know, put 5 to 10% of your portfolio to work in a name. But if it's a $30 stock, it's even more likely to double than a $3 stock. Good to remember. Yeah, 20 days, I think. The average daily range is based on 20 days. Or 50. I think you can adjust all those things. Yeah, a friend of mine made this label here, and I use it on TOS pretty much on all the charts I trade. It's nice to know how fast the stock is or how slow it is. You know, sometimes it's why we're going to trade like a leveraged ETF versus like a regular ETF. You know, you trade the Qs, and that moves 1.98% a day. But if you trade TQQQ, You know, it moves 6% a day, but essentially they're correlated. So Snow acting well. Snow is acting well. Same with Rivian. Rivian's been acting well too these last couple days. Still got tons of overhead, but would Win have been a good buy today? I mean, no, terrible. There's nothing to do here. It's below the 200 and the 50's barely flattening out. This is not a setup. I repeat, this is not a setup. Save your energy. Plug, much better. Stem, which some in here probably took yesterday. You know, look at what it looked like leading up to yesterday. Above all moving averages flagging out, much better. much better. Yeah, save your energy. You don't want to be in that crap. If Win's truly meant to go, it'll set up properly. Look, great example since you're new. Okay? When something's below moving averages, do nothing. Okay? Look at this piece of crap, DAC. Well below moving averages. Okay, there's your Win. Compare that to Win, right? And then eventually it gets back over and it's in the right sector and shipping's hot, and then this thing ends up getting up over the 200 at, you know, $5.60 and goes on to 107. Yeah, guys, these chargers are looking better because of that infrastructure bill. Yeah, EVGO. I mean, it's, you know, there's nothing here for me, but a little what? Yeah, I'm gonna wait for 72 to get taken out personally. Yep. I mean, and if you did take a half position, that's not bad if you did it over yesterday's highs, especially if it's like a half a position, stop low of day, and then let it push a little higher and you can finish getting that other half later. if it chooses to work and the market gets its shit together. But yeah, these chargers, that infrastructure bill was a big deal. It looks like. And this volume that's coming in is pretty unusual in EVGO. But yeah, these names appear that they may want higher. ChargePoint, what's Blink looking like? Yep, Blink's another one. Yeah, ChargePoint, Blink might be good ones for later. And look, it's getting back up above all its moving averages, but now let's look for something nice. You know, a nice setup. Again, we have to be in no hurry. Okay, guys, look at what DAC did. Okay, it finally got up above the 200, and it really never set up until, okay, like up here, $15. And just because it crossed the 200 at 6, you know, and then goes to 15 doesn't mean you were chasing. You know, you're just waiting for a good setup, and then it ends up going to 107 from 15. You know, so you don't have to be in a rush for any of these names. You don't have to be in a rush for any of these names. If they truly want to go higher and they are in the right sector, they have to be in the right sector. I think that's important for everybody to remember. Sector, sector, sector. Or industry group, whatever. Same shit. Yeah. Maybe Futu will get its life together with PDD. Alright, guys, I'm going to read this here. And listen closely. I said it yesterday. The majority of leading stocks generally rise from leading industries. 37% of a stock's price movement is directly tied to the performance of the stock's industry group. Another 12% owes to the strength of the overall sector. A sector is a collection of related industry groups, right? And then so like oil and gas, right, or refiners, or whatever. And then so overall, this means nearly 50% of a leading stock's price performance is leaks to its industry group and sector. Learning to track those sources of strength is simple, but requires a little practice. And it's true. How do I track them? Well, I scan the market, right? And you use your eyeballs. And you could also I use MarketSmith as well, and it could tell you what group, what group rank, your stocks are in. Right now, solar's number one. Yes, Bloom Energy doesn't look bad either. It just needs a little bit more time. Yeah, Bloom Energy and Plug, I just think they both need a little bit more time. Wouldn't want to get them preemptive, honestly. I'd rather wait until they're really showing that strength. Yeah, and that's why you don't have to, like, names, Michael, they can go so far. You just got to wait for a proper setup. Like, how do you always got to think risk first. How do I limit my risk? It's the most important thing. How do you limit your risk? It's all that matters. And once you find a good entry, once you get in, you don't got to do anything else. Just sit there. Get paid. Well, I was looking at MAXN. I don't know. It's gone. I mean, I wouldn't use the word setting up to be a leader, but it's very strong. I mean, because there's no setup here, so it's not really setting up. But yeah, I can agree. EMPH, FSLR, obviously, that's your leader. FSLR hasn't even touched the 20 or undercut it or anything. Yeah, ON and GFS getting really tight. Yeah, the only problem, and GFS is probably my favorite looking of the bunch. ON's been very strong, but my real issue is that the semiconductor space doesn't look too good. It just the semi space does not look good. If it's not for those two, SMCI is another that looks really good. I mean, and maybe like there's this new breed of semiconductors that like really ends up going, SMCI, ON, GFS, it's like the new ones. But AMD and NVDA, I mean, with how big their market caps are in that space, they look like shit. I'd like the group to look better. No, I don't only trade breakouts. Sometimes I'll trade an undercut rally. So like on something that I believe wants to go higher, you could buy that, undercut or like as it's rallying back up. I gave a good example of this the other day. AR, down here basically. So if this was your low, right, and you just draw your line, and it undercuts it down here, you're buying it as it's turning back up in that green candle with your stop at low a day. So there's your risk, and there's your reward so far. Yeah, it's exactly why the semis are just a pass for me right now. I need to see more group participation. That's the only thing, guys. It's going to be one of the biggest factors to improve your trading. Solar is strong, right? And we talked about this yesterday. You could look at this thing, like Sun W. Like, is Sun W some good fucking company? No, guys. Down here they were way out of favor. Kind of like DAC. Remember, just major piece of shit. And then when EMPH took off, Sun W made a 180% move. Right? 180%. Why? Because Sun W's fundamentals all of a sudden just changed, and they're incredibly cash flow generating, fundamental machine? No, guys, like nothing changed. They're in the right group. This happened because they're in the right group. Solar. You know, that's why. That's why this happened. No other reason. So, you know, nothing underlying with the company has really changed. I mean, at all. You know, and it's getting volume. And guess what? It's setting up. So, you know, if it sets up and then they get more money, and then if they get more money, they can raise an offering, but now they could do an offering, but they're above moving averages, and then now next quarter they get better revenue. Like, we don't know, right? Like, solar names could really lead the next bull cycle, and Sun W, being in an uptrend, being in the right group, you know, can get more and more investment the higher this thing goes. As silly as it sounds, right? Like, do you guys really think that DAC, you know, was getting found by institutions, you know, at $5 and $6? Yeah, it was, but probably not by as many as it was, you know, when the thing was up at 70. You know, and it's like, so as a company grows, as they're in the right space, as they, you know, dilute themselves maybe just a little bit, and then, you know, raise the capital that they need to become a better company, and, you know, their earnings improve, and, you know, quarter over quarter, year over year, sales improve, etc. Yeah, I mean, stock can go fucking crazy. So, you know, like I said, nothing big time fundamentally changed about Sun W, other than the fact that EMPH posted great earnings and everything in that space took off.
SHPH.
Like, guys, look around the market. Nothing took off until EMPH posted earnings. Okay, look at these solar names on 726. Go ahead, study them. Not one of them took off before EMPH. Okay, you know, another one ended up looking like a real leader, FSLR, but that gap up happened. Everything took off behind EMPH's earnings. If EMPH's earnings were absolute ass, guess what? None of these names would have moved. I mean, it just is what it is. You know, or maybe FSLRs, you know, would have gotten the sector started. Who knows? But you get my point, right? It's all about group, sector, industry. What you know, what sector are you trading? So again, you know, when you're thinking about names like, you know, when I was looking at Becky yesterday, okay, Becky could very well end up working, but it's retail services or some shit. You think I want to be in that random ass space?
SHPH.
This Neo, huh? Hopefully Neo gets his shit together soon too. Would be nice to see these EVs make another little run. Speaking of run doesn't look too bad either.
GCIC.
Couple more days would be nice. Wonder what will run off HKD? Doesn't matter. I won't be trading it. It really just depends. This is something I went over yesterday. Like, you know, with Oxy. I basically bought it yesterday right in here. And, you know, it didn't close well, high enough above my average, and I literally said this, either a little bit above or below. When I buy something, I'm expecting that it actually breaks out. I mean, that's my expectation. So if it doesn't happen, I'll just reevaluate the next day. So same with JKS. You know, neither of them worked. You know, I bought this thing right in here, expecting for it to start to move back up, and it didn't. And so at the end of the day, I just took my little loss. No big deal. You know, I have an expectation that when I buy something, that it actually starts to break out, right? Like if you would have bought STEM yesterday, and you're buying it pretty much over this little range break. Okay, look at where it ends up closing. Great, near the highs. Like, no need to reevaluate. You're hanging out. So it really just depends. It's like a case by case basis thing. Sometimes yes, it depends like how the market's looking, how that group might be looking. If I AEHR is another one. Yeah, group matters. Group matters big time, and just how it closes. So yeah, even if my stop's not hit, if it doesn't close strong, I'll just reevaluate for the next day. And like for instance, in Oxy, I avoided the gap down. Right, I bought it right in here, and it just didn't close strong. And really, for that matter, neither did DVN. Yeah, AEHR, it's another semiconductor name. So I guess if there are a couple semiconductor names that look pretty good. Would be nice to see this thing keep going.
GZIC.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what name will go with HKD, but it is fun to watch. Yeah, it's I mean, this thing it's thin, manipulated like a mother. But whatever.
10, 10, 10.
Yeah, I don't really ever. I've held tons of stocks through quad witching. I don't even think about that shit. If I buy a breakout and it starts to work, you just set your stop at low of day. Gets hit. Sizing's going to be super important. If you're sized in properly, you shouldn't be thinking too much about that. Just don't be overly exposed, and use what I like to call, and Minervini teaches this, progressive exposure. Like get more aggressive after you've seen a couple winners. You're not going to open up your whole portfolio's worth of, positions in a day plus leverage, but that's the idea, right? You want to be leveraged. But you're not going to find 10, 12 buyable names and setups and pivots all in a day. You're going to slowly add to, like new setups and as days go on. It's not going to happen just in one day. So, don't get too aggressive on your initial buys. Get some traction in the market first. Get your feet wet. Smaller position sizing. Make sure you're seeing things well. Make sure you're reading the market well. Make sure you're finding the right industry or right group, right sector. Make sure you're sizing properly. Once you get that traction, you could start to look for that second and that third and that fourth and that fifth. And then before you know it, you're like Blaine with 44 positions open. Right? How many you got, Blaine? 13?
Oh my gosh, it's so many.
13 or 14 at this point, maybe even 15 if you count PDD and ChargePoint. Oh, and LNG. Oh my gosh.
I have 16.
16 positions open. Yeah, you can do that. All her positions, they've been opened over the last 2 weeks. And she's like slowly, exposing herself to the market as things are giving her progress. Here goes run. Just got the alert for that. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, 16 positions. She doesn't care about quad witching. Yeah, run's not perfect either. You're gonna sell some at 17 change. Well, you haven't sold any yet, have you? Yeah, 3-day momentum burst, dude. 3 to 5 day. And in this market, what you got, 15, 20 average? Man, I'm not selling shit. This is going right back to 1850. And why would you?
CTAK.
Think about this for a second. Think about this. Yesterday you held that entire gap down, right? And it finds support on the 60-minute on the rising 20. Today it gaps down a little bit. And what does it do? It finds support on the rising 20. Don't sell shit. Either let it get up to that supply level at 1850 or let it close below the 20 on the 60-minute, right? It's like it's proven to you twice. And besides, you held the gap down yesterday, and it proved to you it can hold and perk right back up. And then it did the same this morning, and it perked right back up. Why would you leave until those conditions change? If it's going to continue to hold the 20, you don't know that this thing doesn't go to $40 doing just that. Let's see. I posted a few days ago explaining the setup on STEM on 9.6 for a buy when it takes off that day's high. You pointed it, printed a tight candle. Yeah, STEM. Yep. No, I bought it on 9.7. So this essentially is a higher low, even though it undercut, right? Undercut very briefly and essentially held, the rising 20. And then again, I had scanned for this. Why? Because it had already made a big move up. This thing had my attention. And you're just like, wow, okay, you know what? That's not too bad. Big move up, gone sideways, consolidated. Yeah, so as soon as it started to take out this day's high, I bought. A little bit before the crowd, right? And then if you really want to add to a position like that, I would have liked it, and I said this yesterday, I would have liked it to have gone sideways up here for like another day. Had it just pulled back, maybe held the 10 again and just kind of closed right underneath there. And then today would have been nice for it to break out. But it broke out yesterday, and it's still working today. Yeah, Neo's fine. 60-minute looks cool, but I wouldn't touch this just yet. It's very strong though, and that's nice to see. But again, what's the problem we just talked about with China names? I want to see group participation. I guess Lee could be bottom, putting in a rounded bottom here, but that's just anticipating that that's what should happen. XPEV looks like shit, the other Chinese vehicle. Baba still doesn't look too great. PDD really does look the best of the bunch, and Futu's next. How's EDU looking? Yeah, EDU looks nice too. But yeah, you don't need to be early. You don't need to be early. Like, is Lee worth $24? Is it worth $30? Is it worth $100? None of us even know. So let it set up, let it get perfect, let it create a really low risk area for you before you get involved. Oh yeah, sorry. Let me look at some of these for you to see if they're similar to STEM. Yeah, Goss is similar, but it's one of these bio names. It's a little tough. It's tough. Bio names just aren't my favorite strictly because although today it's printing a really tight candle. So if it does this, if it were to like close like this, that would be a really nice look on the daily. So great eye. Set an alert over those 2 days high and see how it reacts tomorrow. Oh, CELH just hit my alert, huh? Wow. Celsius starting to look really good too. Yeah, higher low for Celsius yesterday. Held the 50, clearly pushed back up. Now, I guess it'd be nice to see this thing get tight. Yeah, I'll be a little bit more interested probably over these 110s, but it was nice to get the alert. Right now your eyes are on it. You're aware of really what's going on, and you'll be prepared for it.
Ariel, I just got an alert on Ron.
Yeah, on run. I just don't like this. I mean, I already have some solar exposure. I need something tighter. Like, where's the tight day? Yesterday, like any of the last couple of days, like yesterday was not a tight day, and neither was the day before. So I don't want to buy this thing. Plus, it's got $2 of risk. If I buy a 100K position, I don't want to take that kind of loss on this thing, or a 200K position. I don't want to take a $2 hit, basically, almost is what it would be. Yeah, it's just I'll just pass. Plus, you already got, 16 positions open.
Right. Right.
Like everything else that you get should literally be A plus 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 plus. Like it's got to be a 5-star setup. Otherwise,
ADTX.
oh wow.
ADTX. ADTX.
Yeah, run. It's just not perfect. It's just not perfect. Okay, so yeah, Goss. Sorry, I'm gonna get back to helping you out here. Goss was nice, and that was a good eye. AXSM has proven it can make a big move. We were talking about this one yesterday, and we actually said it looked pretty good over 63. I didn't take it, but AXSM has been powerful. Literally, ever since it gapped up and got over its 200, you could have bought that EP. I don't know what the news was or what. And then of course it pulled back, digested that move, found support on the rising 50, and then took off. And then again another EP outside of that range. It's been tough. Just to buy these EPs. I don't really. Because they weren't on earnings. I don't know if there was news on those days. My guess is there was, but yeah, AXSM has been powerful, and we were talking about it yesterday over 63. But what's my criteria for a 5-star setup? It's a 5-star setup is in the leading group, the leading name, with fundamentals and a perfect chart setup. So EMPH, 5-star. Big move up, and then as soon as you start to push back into the range. It's a leading name in a leading group with awesome fundamentals. It's a reason why institutions would want to buy it. But everything else, can have a beautiful setup. It just is going to be 4 stars because sometimes they don't have fundamentals, right? Like I remember Lucid being a 4-star setup down here. Just this massive move up, pulled back, obviously had this huge volume down here, and that's usually your low, right? That's your stopping volume. That's your low volume. And then what did it do from that period? Straight up and then sideways, literally, right? And then let me clear all this shit. And then right here, it had this incredibly tight day. Right? Had that incredibly tight day. And then gapped up over that range. And it started to go on big volume. Actually, I remember this because opening range highs that day was literally $25. And I was like, man. And I actually bought this and I was still day trading at the time. And it wasn't, it was once I saw what this thing did. And, Christian Koulamagi was in this thing. And I know he had a massive position. And he just held. And look, I literally day traded this thing like a fucking bum. Look at that. Oh, yeah, that's cute. $2 move. Very impressive. And then look. 3 to 5 day momentum bursts. There's day 5. And then look at the move it ends up going on. All the way to 63 in pre-market, that day. So that was like the final straw for me. Yeah, so I did something similar. So again, you got in a market like this, you have to get in before the crowd, right? And yeah, I'll explain. And a lot of it has to do with the 60-minute chart, right? So this thing has obviously made a move up, and you can kind of see what it looked like when it was breaking down these last few days. Right? It was below all moving averages. Everything's kind of twisted and tangled. Nothing's really perfect, right? But the thing is the fact is that this is a base, and it hasn't even come to fill in this gap. So the chart's incredibly strong. right? And why is it strong? It's got really good fundamentals. It's in the leading group. They had surprise earnings beat. They were the first stock to take off when they posted earnings, right? Again, they're in the right space. So I want to find ways to get myself back into this name, like at all costs, right? So as this thing holds, basically, and even on this day, this thing washes out. And what doesn't it do? It doesn't take out the previous day's lows, right? Instead, the very next hour, it pushes right back up to highs. Now, yeah, the day isn't perfect, right? But it refuses to take out the lows of the previous day. So I literally tell myself, because I come to the market, in the morning, if this thing starts to take out, and I even tweeted about it, 287, or I even wrote about it on Discord, 287.70, which was essentially this day's high, 287.69, is a good buy, right? Now, I like to use and I learned this from another guy, credit goes where credit's due, Brian Shannon, and called time frame confluence, right? And I remember I told Yuli about this yesterday to ask, so it's a perfect little moment to talk about that. And, I use time frame confluence. So when I want to get into something and start to kind of cheat my entry, I am looking at a smaller time frame too, not just the hourly. Like, I don't just have to buy over 287.70, right? But I know that if it breaks over that day's high on the 60-minute chart, it's going to be back up above all its moving averages, right? And that's the 60-minute can be very powerful too. It doesn't just have to be the daily chart. It's another big time frame. So it ends up breaking out over that area, right? But before it does, smaller time frame. Let me pull this up for you guys. Okay, and I'll show you guys why and the how. And EMPH ended up being those where I understand we're still kind of in a crummy market. I oversized intentionally, and I did great on the trade. So basically, and here was my average, 287.95, but 287.70. Okay, 287.70. I'm going to draw my line there so you guys can also see it. And my average ended up being just above that line. But what did I notice on the smaller time frame? Right? Here's a 3-minute chart. Okay, and here's a 10-minute. Right? So on a 3-minute chart, I see this perk up on 40-something thousand shares, right? A pretty good, healthy volume candlestick, right? But what do you guys now notice about it on the smaller time frame? Well, it's now crossed VWAP, and if you're a day trader, that's a pretty bullish sign, right? An increase in volume. It didn't break down any further, and it's now above all its moving averages on the smaller time frame. Okay, we can all pretty much agree on that. And so when I saw this little pullback, again, I do come from a day trading world, so I understand that if this is the what's called the reference point, and I learned that again from Lance. And that's another one of my buddies, a great day trader. I'm sure some of us here who know who Lance is. So, when I see this, I literally start thinking to myself, okay, wow, on the 10-minute, this thing's starting to push back up. And on the smaller time frame, I'm starting to get what's called time frame confluence. On the smaller time frame, starting to align with the bigger time frame for what I think can happen. Right? So as time goes on, I literally bought some in this red candle, and I'm risking off initially this low, right? Point of reference, where the move started. So I literally bought some in here. I bought some just as it took out these tops. And I literally just bought small pieces the entire way up. But guys, what do you notice? What do you guys notice about every time frame? Zooming in. Okay, maybe the hourly is not perfect just yet, still below the 200, but I own a small little piece, and if this thing doubles back on me, and again, it's a leader, right? Yep, Lance from SMB, yeah, he helps those guys out a lot. He lives in Chicago. He's a good homie of mine. And so now I'm getting what's called time frame confluence, right? On the smaller time frame, all my moving averages are lined up. I know what this thing's, what it is fundamentally. I know it's in the right group. I know it's a past leader. I know it can continue to be a leader. So I start to piece myself in, right? As soon as it gets up over this VWAP, I take a little in this red candle, risking off that low. And I literally just am buying the entire way up. And then I even buy some of this little consolidation here. right? As long as it doesn't start to break down. And again, what does it really end up doing? You know, it ends up pushing very quickly away from your average. You know, I had like a 287 and change, and it ends up going to 298. So you're up $10 a share, you know, and that's what you expect to see as it was pushing through that level. Even again, smaller time frame. What are we noticing as it pushes through this area? Look at the increase in volume, guys. Okay, I'm not the only one who was noticing this chart, hence the biggest volume that came in over that line. So that's something to always remember, guys. You know, and you can sneak yourself in. Yeah, buying all the way, but buying smaller pieces. So I'm not buying something as it's going down to bring my average down to get a better average, right? The stock's just continuously pushing higher, so I'm actually bringing up my average, but I'm never, ever seeing red. All right, so you're literally in the driver's seat the entire time. Yeah, so, you know, I'm getting what's called, and again, a guy you guys can all learn this from, Time Frame Confluence. His name's Brian Shannon. He's on Twitter as well. Got to give credit where credit is due. Brian Shannon, Shannon. And, yeah, he's got a pretty massive following, too. And anytime no, First Entry wasn't biggest size, but because, you know, I wanted to get more confirmation that the move was working, and that was a push over the previous day's high. Right? Yeah, he's the guy who anchored VWAP data. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, Brian Shannon talks about anchored VWAP like it's the truth, and it, you know, for him it might be. But I want to get the confirmation that the thing's really pushing away from the average. So I actually ended up taking a little bit bigger size, like, you know, 288s, 289s up here. You know, and yeah, I ended up with a 287.95 average. But yeah, that, you know, once something's above its moving averages, it may not be perfect on the hour, but you know what the daily looks like, you know what the hourly looks like. Again, if you do come from the day trading world, you know, sometimes buying that first little red candle, it's not bad, as long as you know where your risk off level is. I didn't get too aggressive on my first buy, and then again, you know, look at the 10-minute. As soon as it gets above the 10 and the 20, and guys, if anybody here knows Ripster as well from Twitter, he talks about his EMA clouds, right? What do you think these are? The 10 and the 20. It's not a little cloud with some shaded space in between, but, you know, and the dude trades the 10-minute chart all the time. So, you know, yeah, once I started to get that those time frames lined up, I just kept buying a little piece, buying a little piece, buying a little piece, buying a little piece, and I just kept buying as it was working for me on the way up. Never getting too aggressive, letting price push away from my average. Right? Letting price push away from my average. It's what my expectation is. And that's exactly what it ended up doing. Right? It's like your average ends up being there, and you know, even if you're taking your last buys at 290 to bring up your average, you're in the driver's seat of, you know, several dollars. But, you know, the expectation is what? That this is breaking out and we're getting in before the crowd. So that's how I played EMPH using time frame confluence. That's why I usually don't look at them. I leave the 3-minute and the 10-minute kind of tucked away, but you know, when I want to start to piece myself in and take maybe an even bigger position, and that's how I do it. Yeah, it was nice to see Plug reject that area. It was nice to see. Realistically, will be nice if this thing tightens up a couple more days. This is ideal. Yeah, toast is still looking great for me. Tan. I mean, tan. This is even better for tan too. We talked about this yesterday as well. A little longer on all these. Perfect. This would be a great look for CCJ too. You know, super nice tight day. I mean, I've already got plenty of CCJ, but if this thing came down to the 20, that'd be even more magical. Don't know that that's going to happen personally, but we'll see. Wolf's another one. Just been waiting for the thing to set up. It's not really giving anything clean. This thing keeps popping up on my scans. It's a turd though. Insane amount of overhead. God, talk about choppy piece of shit. Plug. Yeah, PDD. You know, it's tough. Like I said, guys, I want to see that sector acting well. And right now it's just, you know, Neo and PDD and Futu and maybe EDU. So there's not much to do there. It's best to just stay away until things are perfect. No need to risk any capital in this kind of environment. Not only does the SPY kind of look like shit, there aren't an abundance of setups. Guys, there's going to be times when you do, you know, really figure out scanning the market when there's just going to be tons of setups. Tons and tons of setups. Yo, Cam. Did you see Saba? I mean, she's not perfect by any means, but, you know, she's refusing to die. You might have to dig back the archives and see what's really going on fundamentally here. You might have to peel back the archives. You know, Saba's... Something's going on here. You know, this name has shown the ability to make a really big move, and my buddy's absolutely crushed it on it before. So, you know, again, a stock could be out of favor for a really long time, and then all of a sudden it's not. And, you know, once it creates a really nice base above moving averages and gives you a solid entry, you know, the rest is opinions, which we ignore. This Uber too, huh? Would be nice to see this thing set up a little bit better. Snow. SQ. Roku. I wonder if these names will finally start to, you know, be done shit in the bed. I mean, these moves down on like Roku and Netflix have been unforgiving. Yeah, I don't really hold through massive pullbacks. I mean, and if I do, like, you know, an EMPH wasn't even massive. You have to consider the size you still have. You know, I watched this thing go to 325 and then come all the way back down to 293. Sure, it's not fun watching it come back $5 from your average, but it finds support on the rising 20. And yeah, you know, since I'm at a free commission broker, wouldn't it make sense to have tighter stops instead of holding through a large pullback? Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I just want to follow my sell rules. I don't want to micromanage, you know, positions too much. That's a pain in the ass. Find a nice entry, trim some into strength, hold the rest. Yeah, it's not a large pullback at that point anymore once you've trimmed. You know, the monetary amount's way less. So, you know, no big deal. Also, something that I was talking about yesterday, Lorenzo, is, you know, and I don't do it as much as I should, but hedging your portfolio, right? Like when the market's acting this week, you know, you should be long like QID or SSD. So you're essentially hedging your long positions with this guy, because while the market goes down, these go up, right? And that's how you do it. Your equity curve's really not moving. So you're in positions, you know, long as well. Like everything's a long position, right? But these are inverses. So as the market's taking a shit, these are going up, and your equity curve's not moving, and but you believe you're in leaders, right? Like I like my 287 average or 288 average on EMPH. I don't want to get rid of it, right? For no reason. Um, I mean, not until this closes below the 20. So I don't just want to get rid of it, but in the meantime, if it's going to pull back that far, and I've got long exposure in this, and STEM, and GTLB, and Toast, CCJ, etc. Like if you're in all these names, and the indices are going down, and your positions should probably pull back as well, then you just have to open up a short position. You have to be, you could be net short, like more exposure to your short side, than you are even long. But but yeah, we'll see. It's not something that I do all the time. It's something that I even forget to do. It's kind of something new that I've been, learning from Roy Maddox, another guy I take a bunch of influence from. Roy Maddox on Twitter. Tons to learn from him as well. Yeah, Lance Breinstein. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Lance. Just seen that. Yeah, he's the man. Great trader. It looks like crude's diving off of a cliff today. Yeah. Indices are looking weak for sure. But you have to remember, things are highly volatile near the bottom. That's just my opinion. I have a really hard time seeing like okay, when the SPY rolled over, and everybody thought, things had already gone too low, and they washed out like this, these 3 gap down days in a row. There wasn't like much for leadership. There wasn't a whole lot going on, in the market. Like EMPH had it taken off, and there wasn't Suave and LNTH and the lithium names and etc. So, but now it's like, even though the indices are coming down, we've got a lot of names that look great, right? Like this pullback here, sometimes I wish it would go deeper so that a name like FSLR could pull back more. Like, for fuck's sake. Would be nice to see this thing pull back into the 120s, build out the right side of the base for a few weeks, and you can get back into solar. Like this name has refused to even touch the 20. All right, guys, like that's insanity. And if you could figure out a way to get situated in a name like this safely for a much bigger move higher, yeah, because these names aren't dying, and the indices look like crap. These names aren't really dying. They're, we just looked at Ron, Mac, what was that other one? Maxon. Like some of these names are looking crazy, and in this market, right, these are all solar. So, if you looked around the market when it last flushed, there wasn't much for leadership. But if you look around the market now, and you see these solar names charging higher over the last couple of days while market just taking crazy gap downs, and flushing out on CPI data. Some names don't care about the CPI data, right? It's not that the names don't care. It's that the institutions don't give a shit, right? The people with the big money, and they're putting it to work. They want to put it to work early and often in this sector, it appears. So if that doesn't catch your attention, and again, we didn't have names like Wolf, Suave, LNTH still going, like these ALB lithium names, like, some of these names can end up leading the market. We don't really know. Or yeah, a new breed of setups, the charge points of the world. Charge point, holy shit. But yeah, you guys get my point. Yeah, the indices can look weak, but there are still, names holding up and showing big time relative strength. Like RYTM. Ignore, obviously what's happened in the last 2 days, but RYTM really didn't care what the indices were doing. So if RYTM goes sideways and lets the 50 catch up and gets tight and goes sideways a month, then who knows? But yeah, Lorenzo, to get back to your question, man, hedging. That is why you don't want to worry too much about, just getting out, getting back in, getting out. I'm looking for a tight entry to limit my risk, but like if you sell it, then where do you buy it back if you don't wait for like the utmost perfect setup? So I don't really want to sell my averages. I just want to hold shit as long as it keeps surfing moving averages. Way less work, you know. Just follow some colored lines on the screen. And figuring out where to buy something's not the difficult part. It's learning where to sell it. But every now and again you're going to get yourself into an FSLR and you want to have held for the entirety of the move, or for however long it does last. Yeah, but I don't, I need to control that mentally. I don't know that, just because something taps and breaks high day doesn't mean that is a reject. Like for instance, if I like PDD over yesterday's high, I don't just buy it. I look at level 2 as well. Like that's about the only time, I look at that. And dude, you don't worry about giving back profits, man. That shit's irrelevant. You don't get paid until you close your whole position. And if I wanted to day trade, I would day trade and just, continuously snatch profits off the table. But you're never going to catch a 7-figure winner if you just micromanage your positions. It's just not going to happen. You just got to let a stock do what it wants to do. Again, I just showed the perfect example of DAC. Had you waited and you bought this, $15, or, had you kind of noticed this volume came in when earnings happened, and then it sounds stupid, right? Had this big earnings push, pulled back, got nice and tight, and here's a super tight green day. Okay, if you're into this kind of a setup, which a lot of guys are, if you look up Scotland on Twitter, it's called the fishhook setup. And if you were prepared for this, it's a little cheap, but if you were prepared for this, you should have been buying it right over that day's high and gone. And guess what? You never even saw red ever again. And then eventually it gets over the 200, and eventually it ends up going bananas. And if you just waited for a close below the 200, you'd have been in this for years and then closed it up at 70, even though it went to 170 or 107. Are you mad that you sold it at 80, even though it went to 107? No. You just caught a 2,000% move. Yeah, slingshot. Yep. Scotland, slingshot. That's right. I literally take something from every solid trader that I know, and I try to apply it to what, I do. And that's, there's always guys who are better than that. Scotland. Look him up on Twitter. Let's see. Yeah. It's like Scott 1 and... But really, it's Scotland. That's what it looks like. SCOT 1 and. Yeah, he teaches the slingshot setup. It's the same, guys, it's like little variations of entries. You're looking for tight, and then you're just looking to be patient in things. Like, guys, there's a massive volume candlestick that came in right after earnings, right? I mean, maybe could have been a Discord, but I highly doubt it, right? And then it did the slingshot setup. Something that a very successful trader teaches. And then it rejected the 200, found support on the 50, ripped through the 200 on increasing volume, right? And then eventually, found support on the 20, got nice and tight. Could have maybe bought this as a slingshot setup too. I don't know if that would be considered one. But, it didn't really set up again properly till right here. Nice healthy move up. Found support on the rising 20, higher lows. And then broke the range. Tight red day. Goodbye. And it's like you just got to be prepared for the setup more than anything. Just sit there and then use moving averages. That's it. Take all the guesswork out. Stick some colored lines on your screen and follow those like you're 5 years old. Much easier. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. I'm sure he was, because Pradeep's got plenty to teach. Everybody can learn something from Pradeep or Christian or Scotland or Ryan Pierpont, Richard Moglen, Mark Minervini, Ryan Maddox, or Roy Maddox. Guys, there's incredible talent out there, Pat Walker's one of my favorites. Teaches something very similar. I literally sometimes feel like I'm a parrot of his. Like I repeat exactly what he says. But guys, it works. It works. But you got to scan the markets. And you don't got to do much. Oliver Kell, another great one. Yeah, Oliver's solid. Maybe some of these names are finally done basing out. We'll see. Yeah, Oliver Kell's another solid trader. But yeah, the guys, there's talent everywhere, but the thing is, not everybody's always apt to teaching, or the way someone teaches doesn't fit your personality, or it's not some way to learn. People could just put things on Twitter and just say them over and over, but not until you get some live examples with charts in front of your face. It's not until then that, things start to really make a little bit more sense. I use Thinkorswim for scanning. I also use MarketSmith, but I use MarketSmith more for, ChargePoint. I use MarketSmith more for looking at fundamentals. After I, look at the several names that I'm considering that would even be in buyable positions, and today there was nothing that I saw that's in a buyable position. Nothing that I would run to my screens for and buy today. And that's fine. I'd rather just manage what I have. But yeah, I built my scans on TD Ameritrade, and that's it. And that's what helps me scan the market. Helps me stay in tune with what's going on, where money's going, where money's leaving, what setups look decent, what setups look like shit. It's odd. Some of these oil and gas names like APA look better than Oxy. It's weird. It's very, very weird. But I guess, if it wants to come down to the 100 again and find support, that would be cool. I might actually, it showed support once, twice, 3 times. Maybe it'll do it once again. Little quick washout, tap, find support, and then, it could be a dip buy opportunity. But we're not going to literally buy the red candle. We're going to buy it as it turns back up. So we'll see what happens. Right now, there's nothing to do in that name. How's uranium looking? Not bad. It just needs a little more time. Melly too. Melly, I think, looks better than Amazon, kinda, doesn't it? Both passes anyway. Yeah, that's just a typical pattern, right? And so when I say it has to move sideways for a bit to build out a base, is that based on the stock's history or typical patterns before the next leg up? Consolidation is where we find our low risk entries. How exactly, do you find a low risk entry? It has to move sideways. Mark Minervini teaches volatility contraction pattern. That's exactly what we're really looking for. We're looking for volatility to contract. We're looking for things to get nice and tight, and we're prepared for that, and we're buying it as it's coming out of that tightness, right? That tightness is how we're going to limit our risk on entry. We're, as swing traders, you're going to be wrong so often, like literally, 60% of the time. It feels like, literally feels like 60% of the time. How can you be wrong so often? Like, I see dudes on Twitter posting like 80, 90% win rate. That sounds good. in such a place that's unpredictable, like that's a fucking headache, to have such an incredibly high win rate. But, when you swing trade, you can make insane amount of money because, things end up moving for a way bigger percent gain. So, yeah, and sideways and tight is how we limit our risk.
COSM. COSM.
Boy, market looks terrible out there, guys. Absolutely terrible. Yeah. Yep. There's not tons to do out here. Would be interesting to see if these 388s hold up down here. But it doesn't really matter. If you're not trading the indices, it doesn't really matter. No, I didn't buy anything today, man. There's nothing to do out here. Plus, just by the look of my own portfolio, I see my positions currently going down. And they're all fine. Every single one of them I'm bright green on. But I see them going down. I mean, that's not gonna, like, what exactly are you supposed to buy when your whole portfolio is going down? And like, with the exception of like ChargePoint, right? Like, what's going up? And your portfolio will tell you not a whole lot. Not when everything you're in is pulling back. So yeah, I'm not running to the window to go buy anything new here today. There's no point. When things turn back up and things are a whole lot easier and it's a easy dollar market, it really is easy, guys. But you got to just know when to sit on your hands and do nothing. And again, things pulling back, that's just fine. It's not my money anyway until I sell my position. And I'm bright green on everything I'm in. So I don't know what I'll get paid. I don't know what I'll get paid until I sell it. I don't buy pullbacks. I mean, I do, but I don't actually buy the red candle anymore like I used to when I day traded. It's a smaller time frame now. Like, I'll buy a dip buy, but the chart has to be turning back up. Like, I'm literally buying the green candle, but that is in a dip. No, I'm not in Becky. If you guys were listening to me yesterday, you know I do not want to own Becky. The reason I don't want to own Becky is simple. What sector is it in? Right? Real estate services. I'm good. I don't want to be in that sector. It's a random sector right now. It's totally a random sector right now. And if we're going to look, let's look at the bigger market cap names in that space. CSGP looks pretty fucking random and super slow. And CBRE looks terrible. And Becky and Jill, JLL, and FSV. Any of those look good? I haven't seen one. So why would I want to own Becky? Right? I mean, absolutely nothing else in this sector looks good. In that sector, in that space. 60-minute daily. Daily. I like my breakouts on a daily chart. You know, something like this possibly could, for some people, be an undercut rally setup. You know, you look at these two lows. I mean, and this is some, you know, kind of a setup that I've done in the past. Not particularly one I would do right now because the market just looks like shit. But yeah, as soon as URA takes out these lows, and then as soon as it starts to turn back up, you know, you could be a buyer. That'd be an undercut rally setup, but one that I will pass on. But again, it could be a really good one. Why? Because it undercuts, and then it could just easily find support on the rising 20 and start to turn back up. And then your stop is the close below the 20, right? That could be a very simple and a very logical reason for wanting to buy that dip and that undercut rally setup. And that undercut rally setup, again, it's taught by Scott. No, it just undercuts a set of candles. Yeah, so does the undercut mean that it touches the MA or undercuts the set of candles? Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to touch the MA at all. It can. But that's exactly where reading time and sales level 2s, you know, that's a halfway decent skill to have. You know, not a prerequisite, you know, like some guys don't even look at level 2. Yeah, Dan Zanger's great. Yeah, Dan Zanger is somebody else I learned from. I read through all of his newsletters, and obviously his buy recommendations on certain stocks are amazing.
CTV.
No. Okay, so do you just memorize the names of other industry leading names? How do you know which other stocks to look at in order to gauge sector strength? Finviz. Go on finviz.com, Finviz. It should already be your best friend. Get familiar with that website. And then you just sort them by market cap, look at the biggest ones first. If the biggest ones first look like shit, then, you know, I'm good on the whole sector. Guys, not a whole lot looks good right now other than solar, uranium, lithium names, and even those are all pulling back today. ALB, SQM. Yeah. SQM could be nice. These candles are just super wide and loose. It just need to tighten up. Everything would need to really tighten up. No. What do you think of the chart pattern screener on Finviz? I don't know, man. You gotta have chart patterns memorized in your head. I don't know. Honestly, I've never used it, so maybe it's a tool that would work. Maybe it's not. I have not the slightest clue. I don't use it for that. I just use it to figure out what industry, what sector a company's in, and then look at, you know, some of the other names that are there. But yeah, I don't like filter through charts on Finviz using chart patterns. I like just find them when I scan myself. But yeah, it's really the only true job you guys got to have. Like finding a buyable spot in a healthy market in the right sector. It's not the hard part. You know, guys, the hard part is selling something. Where do you sell it? You know, getting yourself into a green trade is not difficult. It's where do you sell it, but you have to be incredibly patient. You know, guys, and on a day like today when the market's pulling back, there's nothing to do. There's absolutely nothing to do.
NIHK.
Meanwhile, GTLB looks great. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Waiting for a healthy market is part of it. Yes. Yeah, guys, you guys got to be patient. And all of us do. We all got to be patient. I'm waiting for setups just like you guys should be. There's no need to get aggressive in any of this shit. There's not every day is a day to make money, okay? But every day is a day to lose money. So if you can avoid that second part about losing money, then you guys will all be much better off. But you have to be patient for the right days. There are days when, everything's just ripping higher. You could buy anything and it will go higher. So, sometimes like just waiting for market conditions, it's what the letter M stands for in canceling, right? Market. What's the general direction of the market? Don't fight the general trend. That's why I'm not getting aggressive buying anything today. Why would I? When things are just bleeding out here. Yeah, you want to scan. I want to scan for the things that are holding up best in this market. And then, when the market finally turns, you've got a list of names that have held up best. And when the market finally turns and stop putting pressure on the names that held up best, it's like imagine sticking a basketball underwater, right? That's what a stock would look like when it's in a shitty market. But as soon as you let it go and that market pressure releases, that basketball pops right up to the top. Thanks, Quarty Trader. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. No big deal. I enjoy helping. There's plenty of money in the market for all of us. Just gotta help, just gotta help you get your shit together is all. But nothing I do here is magic. I'm just a little bit more patient than the next guy. That's all. Figuring out where to buy something, like I said, guys, that's fairly easy. Learning to just cut your loss when you're wrong, that's fairly easy. But just being patient for proper setups in the right groups in a healthy market, right? And then, we can take it one step further. We could start to add the fundamentals to that, and that's exactly what I read earlier, or yesterday. Companies that have accelerating growth, accelerating sales, and in the right group, that's the winning recipe, right? It's not just a nice chart. Why is it a nice chart? Well, it's only a nice chart because institutions are buying it. That's the only reason it's a nice chart. Does futures help determine when you will enter a trade, or just the sector indexes during market hours? No, I mean, I truthfully, I just want to see the market not going down, right? I'd like to see the market going up, and like I said, I only care about setups. So, is a stock breaking through my pivot level on volume? Is it in the right group? Does it have some solid fundamentals? Check, check, check. How's the market looking? Market looks pretty good. Market's trending up today. Okay, cool. Like, I'm going to pull the trigger here. The market's not going down. It's at least going sideways or doing nothing or floating higher, etc. That's great. That's all I need to see. But right now, market has been, look at what it did 2 days ago. Absolutely smoked, and then it's just going sideways. I mean, this looks like a bear flag more than anything. Does it have to break down more? No, it doesn't have to do anything. But, if as long as the market's trending up, on the 60-minute preferably, at the very least, I mean, this would be nice if this were above moving averages, or, just not getting its ass smoked. But yeah, I mean, for now, that's what I'm saying. There's not a lot to do. You're not going to get tons of traction in any positions you take when this is happening, okay? It's just not going to happen. Very, very, very rare. You're going to catch any kind of traction as this is happening.
and I want the stock to push away from my average. It's not going to push away shit, in this environment. And that's the whole idea. You want to do things when the market's at your back. And then you want to do things in the right sector, and then you want to do things with the leading names. Okay? In that order. Is market at your back? Check. Right? Am I focused on the leading sector? Check. Do I think I've dialed in some potential leading names? Check. Does the setup look decent? Good. Do I have a clean pivot level? Good. And then just buy proper size. Like, it's just a little checklist, a mental checklist. And then that's how you catch yourself in really big winners. Oh, Jim Cramer is too funny. Easiest call in the world. The bear market isn't over. I will talk about it on our club call at noon. Yeah. The bear market just ended. Inverse Jim Cramer. He's funny. He says bear market's got longer to go. Market rallies. He says everything looks peachy and dandy. Market takes a shit. Yeah, guys, I don't know what else there is to do today. If you guys got a couple questions, I'm happy to stand for a little longer, but there's really nothing at all to do here today. There's nothing going to be in a viable position. We said it earlier in the week, everything just needs a week. Yeah, there's not much to do out here, guys. There's no money to be made. Not today. This isn't bad for tan, though. This is healthy. It's a little pullback. NSSC. Yeah, it's not proper. It's not perfect. Your better setup was, this range right here. Things just went sideways. Now we're in this like little ascending wedge or ascending, it's not perfect. I mean, clearly it's doing something different compared to the market, but it's not perfect. It's up quite a bit from, down here in the 20s, 50%. I don't know. I would wait. Doesn't look that great, to be totally honest with you. Even this looked better. Right? Look at this on the 60-minute. Right? Draw a real simple flag. Grade school stuff. Literally. As dumb as that looks, and as simple as that might look, that is a better setup right here on the 60-minute. See how the volatility contracted You know, imagine a door stopper, like the little metal things behind a door. You know, you pull it in one real direction, and it's that it springs back and forth until it finds equilibrium. You know, that's kind of what it looks like. You know, until it finds equilibrium, it gets nice and tight, nice and tight. Yeah, cool. Yeah, keep showing up. Keep showing up, North. Don't get chopped up in this shit, man. If you don't see me doing jumping jacks and rushing for joy, there's probably not a whole lot to do. You guys will probably hear my alerts going off like crazy when they actually happen, but there's not a lot of alerts going off right now. Want to wonder why? Shit sucks out here. No, I'll come back later tonight and scan. There's nothing to do. As soon as I log off, I've got my positions still, and they're just gonna work and do whatever the hell they're doing. I'm not overly concerned about my positions right now. Everything that I'm in is working so far. So, yeah, they're pulling back, and it's definitely not fun, but it just is what it is. I'm gonna respect my stops and respect my sell rules. Even in a crappy market like this, because, I believe I could be onto a few gems. Maybe toast, never know. Tan looks pretty damn good. Stem looks good. I'm in from lower. GTLB, I'm in from lower. EMPH and CCJ in from way lower. So, things like that. I don't just want to get rid of them. They're holding up well enough in this kind of a market that that's an encouraging sign. So there won't be much to do for me. Yeah, I won't scan all day. I'm gonna go walk the dogs, take them to the park, eat some lunch, and then later tonight at night when market's closed, I'll scan. Right, 30-40 minutes I scan the market and I try to figure out like what held up best, what didn't, what looks like shit, what doesn't, and then take it from there. And try to be as best prepared for tomorrow as I can. So when I get to my desk at 8 a.m. and I got 30 minutes to prepare before market open, I'm not scrambling, right? I've already got a lot of my work done for tomorrow, right? And I'll have done it tonight. I'll have been prepared for the market. So, yeah, one of these days I'll post it on Twitter, and in the evening I'll come on and live stream, me scanning and how I put together my watch list for the next morning. Just because I want to have super narrowed focus, right? I don't want to be in 1,000 different places. I want to have really narrowed focus. So, yeah, I will. One of these days I'll put it up on Twitter. If you see it, I'll probably do it a handful of times for you guys. So, yeah, just be on the lookout. But anyway, guys, there's not a whole lot much more to do here. Stay safe out there. Don't do anything crazy. Don't get aggressive in this shit. Wait till things turn up. Wait for better setups. So, and with that, we will see you guys tomorrow. See you guys.